thanks to the support as a channel member, Mark Gowans. Well, after 30 seasons away, Coventry City are back in the Premier League, and we celebrated by spending £100 million. Fingers crossed, we've got a team capable of not going straight back down again. Hello and welcome to Club 2, Part 13 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our first games in the Premier League. We're away against Newcastle and we're at home against Brentford, and we are still trying to figure out what the best starting 11 is going to be based on all of the delicious new signings we made over the course of the summer. This is the team we're going with today for Newcastle. Dane Scarlett's going to be gutted. I would remind you, Dane Scarlett, that your previous performance for us was against Tottenham in the FA Cup final, where you did a 5.8, and I've not really forgiven you for it. So be glad that you weren't sold in the summer. So the team is New Boy Gerbic in goal, a back four of Amrouche, Gozzi, De Winter and Donnelly. It's last season's back four. We can't mess with them just yet. Eventually Amrouche takes over from Gozzi, but not yet. New boy Fabio Andre is at the base of the midfield with Keating and Irogbenham ahead of him. Arguably a slight downgrade in central midfield, having lost Osborne. And can't believe I was reluctant to spend 30 million on him at the start of the summer, and then by the end of the summer spent kind of the same amount on the unproven Colin Hart. But fingers crossed, Hart will end up a hero. So it's Hart on the left, Illing on the right, and then new boy Liam Regis up front, who got 18 goals in the Championship last season for Sheffield United, and fingers crossed will make the step up to the Premier League. Obviously Scarlett is still here as well, and we've got some of the other new boys sat down on the bench ready to get involved if needed. But fingers crossed, the current new boys end up looking like absolute heroes. That's the hope. I want this team to go to Newcastle and win 11-0. And I don't think that's an unreasonable thing for me to hope for. Newcastle are playing the good old-fashioned 4-2-4. They've played Football Manager before, clearly. And, I mean, let's face it, we're probably going to get absolutely spanked today. We saw how much we struggled in that FA Cup final against Tottenham a couple of episodes ago. Although, to be fair, an episode before that, you saw us beat Chelsea, and we did beat a number of Premier League teams on our run last year. So it's difficult to position us exactly where we're going to end up being. I imagine we're not quite as happy and confident if we would have been if it hadn't have been for the cup final. We also had a couple of iffy results towards the end of last season, so we're not coming into this off the back of a 20-match unbeaten run like we would have been if we hadn't have had the FA Cup run. But fingers crossed, we're still full of confidence and ready to show that we belong to be back in the Premier League. Newcastle are just dancing around us. I mean, there might need to be some changes to this defence. The defence was such a strength for us last year, but Gozzi in particular, I have question marks over, and Donnelly's picked up a knock as well, which is a bit of a problem because he's such a key player for us. We have signed a couple of players this summer who can play right back, so we've got other options, but we could do without him getting a big boy injury because he's such an important player, as is new club captain Joey Keating. And Amrouche releases Irogbenham, who's burst out of midfield, lays it back to Hart, the club record signing, plays it across to Illing, and Illing's been brought down, and that's a penalty kick. Please don't be injured. We've already lost Boateng to a season-long injury before the season even began. We could do without losing another one of our wingers. Mason Clark's left the club. We have got a penalty, but I hope Illing is okay, because he's okay enough to step up and take the penalty. So fingers crossed. Last season's top shirt seller can score Coventry's first goal in the Premier League for 30 years. Samuel Illing is the man, and Coventry City are back, and I think we probably have to take Donnelly off. So I guess just a straight change for Max Aarons. Wasn't expecting to make his debut this early, but Max Aarons is back in England. He's been in France for a few years, but he has returned and straight into the team, playing right back for us, which, like I say, had no intention of using him quite this early, but fingers crossed. I mean, he's the most experienced Premier League player we've got. Looking through the team, there's very little Premier League experience anywhere else in that squad. So I guess Aarons is going to lend us a little bit of experience and credibility. Problem is, he's been relegated from the Premier League about 30 times. So That's not ideal. He's got experience of being rubbish. Not personally, but playing for rubbish teams in the Premier League. Right, first chance to have a look at Regis, who has been a little bit quiet. Dane Scarlett is going to be ready to go off of the bench. It hits back of Regis's shoulders. Back to Joey Keating, and he can't quite find the target. We turned down a £45 million offer for him in the summer from Millwall, tycoon-led Millwall. Who did get promoted with us and decided to try and take our captain and best homegrown player from us, which is a little bit harsh. I mean, I'm feeling a lot better about what Tottenham did to us in the FA Cup final, seeing what they're also doing to Bournemouth. It turns out, in this weird alternate universe, Tottenham might actually be a half-decent side. Right, Regis has not impressed at all. Dane Scarlett is on. Irogbenum is going to come off for Masushima. They're two potentially permanent changes as we try and figure out what our best 11 is. We've actually been the better team as far as XG is concerned. We just haven't had the finishing touches to apply to it, and hopefully that's where Scarlett comes in. But we are now continuing to tire. Amrouche can come off for Elefthioridis. And then for my final trick, Aranda can come on and make his debut at the expense of Andre. Aranda is actually a natural ball-winning midfielder, so probably is the one who is likely to be the long-term solution in that position for as long as we continue to play that role there. Does he wear a headband as well? Oh, well, he's my guy. A ball-winning midfielder wearing a hairband. What a man. And Dane Scarlett is in behind. And Dane Scarlett proves me wrong. Within seconds of coming on, he's got his first Premier League goal. And maybe he just had an off day against Spurs. Because that's the Dane Scarlett we've known and loved for the last 18 months. It's the reason we didn't accept some of the massive offers we got from him in the summer, even though I had my doubts over him off the back of one match. He's a finisher. And Regis, I think, is going to have to make do with being a winger for a little while because Dane Scarlett has stamped his claim as starting striker right there. Scarlett lays it off to Aarons. We're looking for another one. Aarons trying to get into a crossing position. He does find the cross. Illing plays it across looking for Scarlett, but couldn't find him. And it's with Aranda. And now Aarons again, who's just slotted straight in. Aarons drives it across and Scarlett's in again. He's been on the pitch 20 minutes. Or not even that, 15 minutes, and Dane Scarlett has 2 goals. He is a Premier League striker after all. I can't believe you lot doubted him. I never did. I always knew he'd make the step up, and he has. It's Newcastle 1, Coventry 3. We're back in the Premier League, and Dane Scarlett is going to outscore Erling Haaland. He is an absolute goal machine. Is he going to have a hat-trick? Because what a way to prove a point. Where was he in the FA Cup final? I almost took him off in the first half. He was so rubbish. Gozzi, back to Gerbich. Look at that proper sweeper-keeper stuff going on there. And it is Newcastle back in possession, hopefully briefly. I don't think we're going to let him back in from here, surely. Oh, God. I was doing my victory speech. Are you disallowing that, referee? I'd quite like it if you did. All eyes are on the referee rather than the celebrating player, which suggests it's being disallowed, you would think. And it has been disallowed. Excellent. We should be getting 3 points. Don't need to see where the line was. We should be getting 3 points on our first game back in the Premier League. And looking at the match stats, we've absolutely deserved it. The only difference we needed was a finisher. We brought him on, and all of a sudden, we are back in the game. Gerbich has made a save as well, which is jolly nice to see. I mean, again, I've been a little bit harsh on Woodman off the back of one poor performance in that FA Cup final. He was brilliant previously, but he was also in goal for the first half of last season for Luton, who were rock bottom in the Premier League when they sold him. So I'm less likely to give him another chance, and Gerbich looks like he's come straight in and is looking good. Donnelly is probably going to miss the next game. Dane Scarlett, probably not. We are at home against Brentford, who finished 6th in the Championship last year, came up through the playoffs. That should be a comfortable win for us, you would think. Just because we've started playing matches doesn't mean the transfer window is closed, so there's still shenanigans going on. Mark Travers has gone to Norwich for £5.5 million. That seems to me like a jolly good piece of business. We're also potentially going to be selling Joe Bellingham. He came to me asking for a move. I probably should have already been a bit more proactive moving him on myself. We didn't really use him last year, but he's got on the transfer list at his own request, and we've immediately had 2 £12 million offers for him. So if he goes as well, that then gives us the money to bring in Manuel, who can just come in and replace him like for like as an attacking midfielder, who will very quickly have to learn to play central midfield, but can cover up front and out wide as well. So he'll just slot straight into that vacant squad place. Other than that, we've had to make a few changes for the Brentford game as well. Both fullbacks having to swap out through injury. So Amrouche and Donnelly not fully fit. So they both have to, there's Amrouche. Amrouche hasn't trained all week. He's been unfit, and Donnelly, as you can see, still showing as unfit. So Elefthioridis and Aarons both come in. We stay with Irogbenum in midfield for now, because I don't want to make too many changes in one go. Scarlett, of course, comes in up front. Regis not dropping to the right-hand side, because he also picked up a knock in training. So Illing, who, to be fair, did win the penalty and score the penalty in the last match, so it would have been a bit hard to drop him anyway, but it does make the decision that much easier. Obviously, we can't just write Regis off. We've spent £30 million on him, but for now, Dane Scarlett is back in, and fingers crossed, going to continue the form that he showed in the Newcastle game and get himself set up as the best striker in the history of world football. What a turnaround we've had on that guy in 10 minutes, but he was excellent against Newcastle. You all saw him. He's gone from being worth 40 million to 90 million, surely, after showing he can do it in the Premier League. Right. Let's beat Brentford, because part of showing we can do it in the Premier League is thumping the teams who were down in the Championship with us last year. And we need to show that we've established ourselves at this level much quicker than they have. Millwall, by the way, shipped 4 goals on the first day of the season, so they're probably going straight back down. Let's establish Brentford are no good as well, and we can be the one of the 3 promoted teams that look like they've got a chance of staying in this league. Scarlett, I don't know how he's turned that header into the path of Illing. Just lucky he didn't dislocate his head, but Illing does slide the ball across to Aarons, and Aarons, if he can find the cross, he can, and of course, with a cross, you're always going to find Dane Scarlett, and there he is for another tap in. And Aarons has slotted in very, very nicely to this team as well, and already seems to have developed a little bit of a habit for playing that pass into the path of that man. And Scarlett is going to feed on them all season long if given the opportunity to. 3 goals in about half an hour of Premier League football for Dane Scarlett. I'm so glad I didn't sell him in a huff. Goodness me. I was so close at various points to just washing my hands of him off the back of one poor performance. Right, Illing with the corner, looking for Gozzi at the far post. Of course, he did grab a few goals from set pieces last season. Didn't even get into double figures, nothing crazy. But he is our main aerial threat from corners, and unfortunately on that occasion, not able to keep his header down. But importantly, it remains 1-0 as we head towards half time. And look at us go, joint top of the Premier League. It's all coming up Coventry, boys and girls. And I'm glancing down at the bench because I want to get Masushima on. I want to give him some game time because I think he probably is going to end up being the central midfielder. And we probably need to give some game time to Undala as well, who we've promised the arrivals of Hart and Regis aren't going to force him out of the team. He's played 0 minutes of football, though, so far this season. So we probably do need to give him the opportunity to prove himself at this level. That was a rare poor pass from Keating, giving the ball away, not able to find Hart, and Aarons looked a little bit lost there. He's useful going forward. Not sure how good he is defensively, though. Luckily, in the shape of Gerbic, we have 6'5" of excellent goalkeeper who can protect us from those kind of situations when they occur. Right, neither winger has played particularly well, so we're going to bring Bonner and Undala on. In fact, no, we're not. We're going to bring Undala on the left, and I think we'll bring Masushima on to play on the right, give him an opportunity to play over that side. And what do I normally use Undala as? I was going to say, why has he not got his instruction to be an inside forward? That's how he usually plays. And Masushima can be a winger, and he can like it. And then for our final change, we'll take off Elefthioridis, and the almost fit Amrouche can come on and replace him with 20 minutes ago. I'd been kind of tempted to bring him on at centre-back today to give him a little bit of time playing there, but with us only being 1 goal ahead, we don't want to do any shenanigans just yet. Right, it's back out to Irogbenum, who's having a good game, or a good-ish game. 6.7. I thought he was on a 7 when I looked before. I must have looked at Keating thinking I was looking at him. He got to stay on the pitch off the back of me thinking he was on a 7. Or I said I brought on Masashima to play in his actual position, and we could have put Regis on the right. Never mind. Right, Andala intercepts. Good work from him. Charging at the Brentford defence. Millwall losing again, which is lovely to see. Looks like they're going to be heading straight back down after trying to rob me of all my players. Serves them right. Offering me money for Joey Keating, you absolute monsters. But we could do a second goal just to ease us over the finish line here. We're underperforming our XG again, like we did in that first match. And that's not really a habit we want to establish. Right, we'll bring on Donnelly for Aarons to play at right back, and then we are gonna bring on Regis. Put Masashima back there, and Regis can get 10 minutes playing on the right wing, which is probably going to be where he ends up playing if Scarlett continues scoring at the rate he's been scoring so far, which, fingers crossed, he shall, and then Masashima can become the Osborne replacement, and it all starts to fit together beautifully. There's Gozzi again, not able to keep his header down. That boy needs to just learn to head down. He heads straight, and because he's tall, if he leaps and heads straight, they go over. Just learn to head it down, for goodness sake. I was taught to do that when I was 8. Head down. You head an attacking header down, a defensive header up. How hard is it? Goodness me. But that is 2 wins from 2 at the start of life in the Premier League. This Premier League arc is easy peasy. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.